coming out to the Pasadena Human Relations King Week kickoff celebration. Before I begin, I would like to start off by thanking Almighty God, which allows me to be in front of you all today. And must also thank Almighty God for having us be able to be gathered here today in unity as a city of Pasadena. I would like to thank my parents, Mr. and Mrs. and Iwuoma, my father who is here today, and my mother who could not make it today. I'd also like to thank my fellow Mustang, Cameron Turner, who actually let me know about this event, and Terry Allen from the Pasadena Human Relations Committee. Thank you for allowing me to be in front of you today and letting the youth get a chance to be able to speak and be the voice for the community for once. In honoring the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, we have to, I think, deconstruct the idea of that we're living in a colorblind society. When King was organizing the community, he was facing more blatant racism, more fire hoses that were in people's faces. You had the police sicking dogs on people. You have people getting names called directly in their faces, right? But my generation is seeing racism in a little different way. It's they've gotten a bit more creative. It's almost systemic now. And my generation does not necessarily see this, but we have to deconstruct the idea of living in a colorblind society, which is false, because we're not living in a colorblind society. There's very much so racism that exists in every single institution that exists, the educational institution, the prison industrial complex, things that people walk through every single day, but are not necessarily seeing it as vivid as it was in the past. And in the 1960s, I love the 1960s. My fraternity was founded in the 1960s in 1963, but honestly, I'm tired of hearing about the 1960s. I'm ready to hear about 2014. I'm ready to hear about what the next generation will be moving forward, what the next generation will be proposing, what the next generation will be doing to be able to actually make an impact in the world. And now, instead of spraying water hoses in our faces, it's the systemic injustice that can occur continue to fester. And what that looks like, maybe not letting your child be able to have an adequate education, or saying that because you live in this address, you cannot go to that school, but you're going to go to this school that doesn't have that many resources, and that's what the systemic racism looks like today. And we must be able to be cognizant of that and be able to continue to address that now in 2014. Myself, going to college, going to UC Berkeley, I have learned so much. I have gained so much wisdom, met so many people, gained different perspectives, met people across the world that have broadened my visions. And with that, I come back to the city of Pasadena with a critical eye. I come back to the city of Pasadena seeing what are the things that we can actually improve on to make our city better and to be able to improve. Because Pasadena, being a city that was one of the first cities to desegregate outside of the South, we are a progressive city. We are a city who is forward-thinking. We're a city that is ahead of the game. We must continue to perpetuate that by bringing in new ideas, new visions, and new things that we can do to be able to make our city on top. And I say that because going to UC Berkeley, not that many people from Pasadena were able to go to UC Berkeley with me. And I remember when I was a freshman, I asked someone, like, who else came to the school with you? They said, oh, 17 other people from my high school came here with me. And I was shocked, because my first few weeks at UC Berkeley, I was alone. Didn't know, but knowing that there are other people who came from other communities who prepared them to actually go to UC Berkeley and have a community around them, that made me feel some type of way. That made me feel angry. That made me feel like, why can't more people from my city be here? Like, what is holding them back from being able to get here? Because I know many people who are talented in my class. I know many people in Pasadena who are talented, who are skilled, who are beautiful, who belong to leave Pasadena and be able to gain more knowledge to be able to bring back to their city. And I question myself and understand why is this? Why aren't more of my people able to get to these institutions of higher learning? But why are they not there? Maybe they didn't have a stable housing situation. Maybe they didn't have a role model in their life that went to college. Maybe they had a negative relationship with law enforcement. Or maybe they had to resort to other means to provide for their family. All of these things are barriers that stop my peers from reaching their highest potential. When people give speeches, I never really like when people talk about like all these philosophical ideas and not necessarily provide a solution for things. I am not one of those people. So today, I have a vision for Pasadena. I spent yesterday speaking with elders in the community, asking them, what do you think Pasadena needs? Asking them, what are some things that you feel like that should be coming to the city of Pasadena? What should be things we're working on? What should be things that we should be doing to actually cater to the community's needs? I listened to them, and this is what they had to say. So I created somewhat of a 5-point plan of things I think that we should be actually addressing in the city of Pasadena to make our city a forward-thinking city as we claim to be. Jobs. We need to create jobs for Black and brown youth. A lot of time we talk about crime, we talk about the idea of people committing crimes, but I feel like we have to understand, like, why are they committing these crimes, and what are they putting their time to? Many times I've seen people, luckily I had the opportunity to play football, run track, so after school I had something to do. I had a place to go. I had mentors, I had people who are older than me who had a place for me to be able to grow grow in myself. But I feel like that's not the opportunity for other people, because if you don't have time to do something to be able to get money or to improve yourself, you're going to use that time for negative things. You're going to use that time to contribute to the crime, or you're going to use that time to do something that you're going to do to be able to help yourself or help your family. So being able to create jobs for Black and brown youth will be able to help them be able to have something for them to do, to be able to have something that can contribute to the actual society and the economy of Pasadena. Law enforcement. We need to be able to create intentional relationships with law enforcement. We need to be able to create these relationships, number one, to hold them accountable because they're here to serve us, and also to develop open communication with them so when there is an issue that arrives, citizens can actually have a conversation with them. My senior year, when I was president of the Pasadena NAACP Youth Council, we held a police forum, which was titled Words I Never Said. And we were able to bring in the community of Pasadena, and we were able to bring in the Pasadena Police Department and have a conversation around topics they wanted to bring up. And through that was a fruitful conversation where the community got a chance to understand where the police was coming from, and the police had a safe space to interact with the community and be able to tell them where they were coming from. The only time police and the community interact should not be only at a crime scene. Housing. We need to be able to create affordable public housing for low-income families. We need to be able to, you live in UC Berkeley. This past year, I lived in a cooperative, African-American themed cooperative, and I understand this idea of a cooperative. And I think that we can actually put more cooperatives in the community to be able to pool resources together, to be able to actually have shared ownership in land, which will actually be able to build community for each other, and be able to have a space where community can call their own and be able to develop their own community. I feel like this is something that we need to be able to work on and be able to address. And education, my favorite part. We need to be able to create a K-12 public school mentoring program for youth. Because we say that we want you to go to college when a student has never even been to a college campus before. We say we need you to get out of Pasadena when the student may have never even been off one of the exits off of the 210 freeway. We need to be able to show these youth what they want to become. We need to get the elders in the community, there's people who are doctors, who are lawyers, who are activists, to come back to the community and show these youth what they can be, because you cannot really tell someone to be something when they have never seen what that person is. So we'll be able to have this mentoring program to be able to come in and have youth be able to see what they can actually become. And be able to raise the expectations, to hold my generation accountable. I'm tired of this logic of, okay, you're doing bad in school, you're messing up, so we'll send you to Rose City, or we'll give you this trade to do and be okay with that. No, we need to raise the expectations, because there are students who actually want to become great things, who would like to become the greatest they can be if they actually see what the greatest they can be. So being able to have a mentoring program for you to see at a very young age, I'm talking kindergarten, because we cannot no longer wait till high school and think that we're going to be able to solve all the things that went wrong before that. So we're going to be able to have a program to be able to sustain that. And lastly, the part of this is you. We need you. I'll say it again. We need you, and we need you. We need everyone, we need you. Because in order to do this, a vision without a plan or a vision without execution is actually hallucination. And please don't tell me I'm hallucinating up here. So in order to do that, we need you to be able to actually come back to this community and see, what do you have to offer to the city of Pasadena? What do you have that you can actually come back and create that? When I come back to Pasadena, every single time I come back to Pasadena, I'm going to John Muir High School to talk to students. I'm going to John Muir High School to let them know that this is what I became, and you can do the same thing. Going in and talking to classrooms. What can you contribute? How can you use your most valuable asset of your life, which is time, to be able to go back and help your community? So I think that's one thing we need to continue to keep in mind. There's a quote by Frantz Fanon. It goes, each generation has a mission. I'll say it again. Each generation has a mission, fulfill it or betray it. In relative opacity. I'll say it one more time. Each generation has a mission, fulfill it or betray it. And my generation has a mission. The title of this event, Rekindling the Light of Peace, I think we have to ask, why do we need to rekindle the light? What happened to the light? Who blew it out? What happened to it? What are we going to do to be able to reinstill that? My freshman year, we had an African-Black Coalition conference at UC Berkeley where the Honorable Louis Minister Farrakhan came and spoke to us and actually gave us a blueprint on how we were able to do that. The title of our conference was Accepting the Torch, Reigniting the Flame. So my generation is actually ready to reignite the flame. We're actually ready to accept that torch and be able to move forward and see what we can do to be able to make this a city that we need to be able to do, to make this world a better place that we need to do, and we're actually continuously working on that. Many of my friends who actually were able to go to higher educations of higher learning are working on this, are majoring in things like communication, are majoring in things like business, are majoring in things like music, so we can be able to come back to our city and actually accept the torch, reignite the flame that needs to happen, and continue this movement moving forward. In the ending, I actually have this poem that I'd like to share with you all. I'm not going to use the mic for this one.
You need to disengage it.
I'll use the mic for this one. Everybody's bad and everybody's tough. But how many people are intelligent enough to open up their eyes and see through the lies, discipline themselves to help their city stay alive? Not many. That's why the Lord sent all of us here today on this day. And I have this to say. The rich will get richer and the poor will get poorer. And in the final hour, many heads lose power. But what does the rich versus poor really mean? Psychologically, it means you got to pick your team. When someone says the rich get richer, visualize liberty and put yourselves in the picture. The rich get richer because they work towards rich. The poor get poorer because their minds can't switch. Pasadena is not just a novelty. We can love our community without loving poverty. Follow me, every Mustang, Bulldog, Eagle, Viking. We can be the city that is on top and still fighting. Martin Luther King had a dream, you see, for everyone to come together in one society. But first, black and brown got to unify, stop the negativity, and control our creativity. The rich is getting richer, so why we ain't richer? Could it be we're idolizing the wrong figures? Educate yourselves, make your worldview bigger. Visualize liberty and put yourselves in the picture. Thank you all.